चलिए दोस्तों शुरू करते हैं without wasting any time. So this is the lab we have today. In this last video, we have seen that how to configure the segment routing TE with the link coloring. And in the last video, also seen that some of the common configuration required on all of the boxes to enable that to run the segment routing TE. Like we need to configure that to run the segment routing traffic engineering, we need to configure the link type point to point in the router ISS process. HT not supported on the broadcast interfaces. So we need to define a point to point. And second thing, there are the few config like on the we need to enable MPLS traffic engineering for the ISS level, which are the level we are running in the ISS. And secondly, we also need to configure MPLS traffic engineering. Router ID also we need to define the loopback zero interface or what are the loopback we are using, correct? So these are the some common configuration we require on the every router to run a segment routing. So in a normal working scenario, like in the big network, this can be the it's not specific the small or big network. So this is a tedious task, correct? On each router by going one to one, we have to enable this global one, which is the common configuration need to put all of the routers. So this can be one of the tedious task, or one can be the we can say this is boring task. So we can automate this kind of task with the help of Ansible Playbook, and we can save our time. So in today's video, we'll see how we can automate this. How with the help of Ansible Playbook, uh, we can enable this, or we can do this global config, which is common to the all of the routers. So what we'll do in the Ansible playbook, first thing we will in the first task we will get the show ISS neighbor output from all the routers, and once we have an output of the show ISS neighbor, then we'll process that output, and from that output we'll get the interface number, which is the part of the ISS. And after that, on all these interfaces, we'll enable the point-to-point configuration in the ISS. And after that, we will do the router ID and MPLS traffic engineering for level 2 configuration. I'm trying to show the simple playbook of the Ansible how we can achieve this. There can be multiple way, or there can be like a good playbook, or we can say in a single task we can. There can be many way to configure the similar thing with the help of Ansible, but I have tried to show the simple task how we can achieve it. So let's jump to the playbook. We'll discuss. So this is the playbook we have, which we are going to use to configure segment routing TE global config. I have given the name also similar name config segment routing TE global config playbook. And here this is the section of the host iosxr. So let me show you the inventory list. What are the devices are coming under this stable inventory? So we are using this group iosxr. In this group, we have defined the two hosts P1 and P1. So on these two hosts, we'll do this config iosxr segment routing PE global config. We will do PE1 and P1. Let's go back to our playbook. So this is from here we are before that here I'm defining a blank list. Okay, in the variable section I've defined this blank list. Okay, in this here we are starting a task. Task number one is getting output of show ISS neighbor. So here we are getting the show ISS neighbor command output, and we are saving this output in the output variable with the register module output. After that, in this task I'm printing this output on the screen, so we'll be able to see show ISS neighbor output. And after that I'm creating a new fact from the register output, so I'm using a new variable. I'm creating under the set fact time module using, I have given the name show ISS new. After that, which I have registered in the output will go to the output in the two standard out and standard out lines. I'm using the I'm going the standard out, and this is the list. So I'm taking picking the element 0, and then I'm using the running the split function on that. Ultimately, this variable I'm saving in the show ISS new, and again I'm printing this show ISS new on the screen with the debug module. And after that, I'm getting the interface number. Again, set fact, and on the to getting the interface number, what I'm doing here, I'm running the for loop on the show ISS new, which we have got from this task output with the item. Like in the Python, we have a for loop. In the Ansible with underscore item module, we can run a for loop. So I'm running the for loop on this list value, and after that I'm getting the and when the gi this keyword will be in the lines, and then we'll put the entry in the blank list which we have initiated in the vars in the earlier. So after that, I'm once we have an interface number, I'm doing the point-to-point configuration on the interface number. So this is the parent line. We have to go to the router access core process. After that, we need to go inside the interface number. Again, we are running here for loop on the blank list. So whatever the entry will be in the blank list, we are running the loop. So we get the one by one interface number. On one by one interface number, we'll configure the point-to-point config. After that, here I'm saving this blank list interface number in the file. I'm giving the file name is inventory hostname, so device hostname dash show version dot txt. I given the show version, we give the show interface any name we want, like our convenience we can use. Here I'm configuring the router id config and te for the loopback. Again, with the parents module, I'm going under this section router as a core address from the IP for unicast. Under that, I'm putting these two commands: mp staffing in level 2 only and mp staffing in the router ID loopback 0. Let's run the playbook. Okay, so I'm going to run this playbook with the verbose, so you'll be able to see the much more output. So let's see. Let me put the password here for my admin. Let's wait to run the playbook, and after I will go through. Okay. So playbook runs successfully. So we have done the task. We have given the two changes on the device point to point, and the one task we were configuring the router ID, and we have configured both of the things. Okay, so let me open the playbook again so I can show you. This is the first task is simple. We're getting the show ISIS neighbor. So let me quickly show where is this. Let's go up. Here it is. This will be upside. We'll go just wait. Here we go. About to reach. As we use the verbose, so output is very lengthy. So printing output. So here is the printing output of show ISS neighbor command. You can see that when we are getting the output, so this is the register variable. Okay, so we're getting output in the standard out and standard out lines. So I have processed with the standard out. So this is where standard out came from. When we are putting in the playbook now output dot standard out. So this is the variable. So this in under this variable we are getting this list. Under this list we have a zero entry. One element is only there. So we go down here when I'm processing this output standard out, and under the list only zero element, then I will run the split function. Okay. So after that I got the interface number. Let's go to this task. Get interface number. Getting interface number. So point to point config is there. Getting interface number. So this was the so this came back after split. Once we have done the on the list, there was only one element, 0, and after split, we got this way. IS. Now again list, but with the single number. Like IS is the one element, core is the one, neighbor is the one, interface is the one. Okay. So this we got. After that, we run the loop to get the interface, getting interface number. So it's skipping, it's trying to match GI. Once it will find the GI, it will put the entry in the our list. Here it find the correct in the Ansible blank list, putting the entry. So it's keeping until unless it will not find the G as we define with the when condition we have defined with the when. Once it will match, it will put the entry in the blank list, and after that we're doing the point to point config. So here it prepare the config router ISS core you're putting interface number. So this number came from the blank list, and point to point we configure the playbook in the parent section. So this doing the point to point configuration, and once it done the point to point configuration, after that it's saving. So it's saving the output in the file, and file name will become this is what the ansible inventory name. So p1 in the inventory cd/et/ ansible inventory you have seen in the iosxr put the device name host name. So that is ansible inventory name, and then we have defined this variable. This text we have defined dot text where the name we have put show version to any interface we can put. So in this file, it will save the interface number. I will show you. Just wait. And here we are going with the router ID config and TE for the level 2. So again, similar way to prepare the command router ISS core address family MPS. These are the sections. Just putting under this host P1, and similar way the P1 also is taking. Let me show you the quickly files. So here it prepares the file to P1. So there will be a list of the interfaces here. Do the cat. So here we have a list. And similar way for P1 also we have a list. So by using this Ansible playbook, we can quickly deploy the common configuration on the multiple devices. Thank you.